Okay, thank you all for confirming that. So let's get started. So basically, we are here today to learn JavaScript. You all come across this link either on WhatsApp or Meetup application, Meetup group, or just a friend of yours shared it with you, and you saw it and were interested in studying JavaScript. So I want to make it clear that this is not a one-time session. We'll be having these events every Saturday from 8 to 9. If you extend, maybe 9:30, but I'll try my best that it only goes for 1 hour, that is from 8 to 9. So this will be a study jam where we'll be learning bit by bit. As I mentioned, what I'm going to do here, we're going to be learning JavaScript from the very basics, because I know here we are of different levels. There are people who have some knowledge, some are experts, some are advanced, and we have absolute beginners who don't even know where to start from. So this is what we're going to do here, all the way from basics to intermediate, and then to JavaScript frameworks. Once you are there, we'll be able to build applications using the frameworks in the backend using Express.js. And for the front ends, we will be using what we call either Vue, Next.js, and React. Of course, we'll touch on all of them. Then it's you guys who will decide. Let's move forward with either Next, React, or Vue. So this session will be happening every Saturday from 8 to 9. That is the schedule for this series. So before I talk too much and forget who I am, let me introduce myself. My name is Omolo Oganda. I'm a student ambassador, a JQuant student, a 2.1 student at JQuat. At the same time, I'm a software engineer, and also I have a product that I'm building, which is Comrade Swap, a student marketplace that helps students to buy and sell their services and products easily. Yeah, and also we can connect with you on YouTube. I do tech content on my YouTube channel. You can search it Osego Codes. Also on LinkedIn, you can connect. My name in LinkedIn is Omolo Cliff. That is my handle, but you can search me as Omolo Oganda. And then on X, I am Osego Codes, but my handle is Osego_Baba. So that's brief about me. And in terms of the languages I speak a few languages. I speak JavaScript, I speak Python, I speak PHP, a little bit of PHP, and also I speak React, Vue, Express, and then suppose I want to fly, I can fly to the cloud using Azure. So that's technically about me, and now you know who will be having this session today. Okay, so I'm being reminded, I was forgetting something. I also speak C#, and also we have sessions of C# every Wednesday. So yeah, I can forget some, but most importantly, JavaScript is my favorite language. Anything JavaScript, you can always holler me. Anything Vue, we can talk. Anything Express, we can talk. And also in databases, I love MongoDB because it's more of JavaScript syntax. So that's all. So let's move forward and get into the agenda of the day. So what plan do we have here? Because I've mentioned this will be a study jam, which means we will be studying topics like every session. For example, if you pick up today, we are going to talk about variables, functions, classes, and everything. Next session, which is next week on Saturday, we talk about something else. The other week, something else. So here's the plan for today, if possible, if time allows us. We want to first ask ourselves, what is JavaScript? The history of JavaScript, JavaScript versions, and how to run JavaScript. Sorry for the typo there. And by the way, I just wanted to ask you guys to pardon me. I'm not good at making PowerPoints that are beautiful, so they are kind of plain text. So, but when we go to the code, they can be colorful. So let's move on. So we'll also want to look at variables today. We want to know what's the difference between a var, a let, and a const. How do we declare variables? What is hoisting? What are the naming rules when declaring variables? What are the variable scopes? A block, a function, or a global. Data types. We'll talk about data types, For example, you have strings, numbers, booleans, and define big int, null, and symbols. Yeah, and that's it. And I guess we can now get started. So until that point, I hope all of us, we are together. So let's find out what is JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that enables web developers to add interactive elements to websites. It's one of the core web technologies along with HTML and CSS, and runs directly in web browsers, making web pages dynamic and responsive. So that is what JavaScript is. JavaScript basically is a language that will enable us to add some kind of interactivity on our web pages. Things like when you click on a button, what should happen? How can I change the color if I hover on an element? What kind of behavior do I expect? And usually when you talk about web development or ask anyone to guide you on web, they will tell you what you need to do. You first need to learn the basics or the core technologies of websites. So in this case, we have HTML. HTML will be like giving you the structure of the web page. It's like the skeleton. Now, look at this, like the human body skeleton. That's the bare bones. There's no meat, there's no anything. And then now we have the CSS, right? Now the CSS is where now we now style our pages, give them think color, fonts, transitions. Now here's where CSS comes in. And if we link it to our body system, now we have the skeleton, and now think of like the meat, the flesh that you have as the CSS. Now it makes our skeletons look good. You know, we are all skeletons, but because we have some flesh, it looks admirable, it looks good. And then now we have JavaScript. Now, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, these are not languages. No, HTML and CSS are not languages. This one is a markup language, and CSS is a styling technology. Then now, in these core technologies of HTML and CSS, now JavaScript is the only language here. Now, JavaScript is what we will now call like what will make us move. We can relocate to go to other pages. What happens when we reload another page? What happens when you click a button and such kind of stuff? So JavaScript is very, very important for any developer, mobile apps developers, irrespective of the stack you are using. Whether you're using Django, Django will still use templates. These templates will need JavaScript. So JavaScript is something that as a web developer, you can't ignore. Now, we are talking about JavaScript, but let's get to understand a brief history of JavaScript. Now, JavaScript was created in 1995 by Brendan H. I don't know how to pronounce that. I guess I'm correct, Brendan H., a programmer at Netscape, to allow client-side programming in web browsers, originally named Mocha. Then later on, it became LiveScript and was later renamed to JavaScript to align with Java's popularity at the time. Now, what's the timeline? How has JavaScript evolved? So in 1995, it was created. 1997, ECMAScript. Now that was the standard JavaScript. It was introduced in 1997. Then it took some time, almost how many years? Close to 12 years. I think 12, yeah. Then we had what we call 2007 to 2009 is 12 years, great. Then we now come to ECMAScript 5, which introduced something we call JSON, text mode, and more. So JSON, if you've been trying to learn JavaScript or any web language, you have come across the term JSON, which is basically JavaScript object notation. And then fast forward in 2015, ECMAScript 6 was introduced, which in short is called ES6. It introduced new syntax, things to do with let, const, and arrow functions. So all this, we'll come to look into them into details as we move forward. Going on, we have JavaScript versions. JavaScript evolves through ECMAScript updates, with ES6, the 2015 version, being a significant milestone that introduced modern JavaScript features. Now, in 2009, we had ES5, which is ECMAScript 5, which supported JSON, array methods, and text mode. Fast forward to 2015, we had ES6, which introduced let, const, and arrow functions. Moving forward to 2016, 1 year later, ES7 was introduced, which also included the array method called includes and some exponentiation operators. And the latest one being 2017 to 2021, we've been having ES8 and moving forward, where we have async await and optional chaining. So async await, just to tell you, just give you a tip, async await is more of, we have some long running operations. A good example being whenever you want to access a database or send data to a database, it takes some time. So such kind of operations, you use async await so that we first wait for one operation to complete, let's say storing data to a database. Then you want to send some response back to the user telling them whatever you are sending to the database or to the server has been saved. And now I'm back here to tell you it's okay. So that is where we now have async await. And also, just to go a little bit back on the 5th slide here, this definition focuses on the front end, like enabling web developers to add interactive elements to websites. That was true until Node.js was introduced. Nowadays, if you know JavaScript, you can become a full stack developer by just knowing JavaScript alone, only JavaScript, and you're a full stack developer. Why? Initially, JavaScript was only designed for the front end to be run on the browsers, okay, to make websites interactive. Fast forward, a runtime for JavaScript on the server was built. That is now what we call Node.js. Now with Node.js, you can write JavaScript code and make it to run on the server, right? So which means if I know JavaScript right now, I qualify myself to be a full stack developer because I will write JavaScript in the front end using HTML, CSS, and JS. But in the back end, I will still use JavaScript, but on a Node.js runtime environment to enable me to execute JavaScript code on the server. So I want you from now onwards start thinking of JavaScript and its capability of running both front and the back end. And just to add on top of that, if I know JavaScript clearly, I can easily grab and understand databases, especially the NoSQL databases, or what we call documented databases, because most of them are in JSON format. For example, if you talk of MongoDB, it is in the form of JSON format. So JavaScript is JSON, but MongoDB is JSON. So, hey, please, can you unmute? Please mute. Someone is, please mute. I don't know, Nani. Hey, please. Margaret, let me mute you. Hi guys, if someone knows, please tell her to. Okay. Can someone please tell Margaret to mute kindly? Hey, let me sort that. Sorry guys, let me sort that. Okay, so we're good. Thank you for sorry guys, I'm sorry. So let's continue. So where were we? That got me way. Okay, yeah, I was talking about knowing JavaScript can qualify you to be a full stack developer. And I was talking about databases. Now in databases, you see in JavaScript, you learn about JSON format, what we have here. Now, when you go to databases, especially when we talk of document databases or NoSQLs that have no defined schema, they are always in a format that resembles JSON, but what we call now JSON, okay? Now, this JSON is just like a JSON, but now because we are storing some data in the database, it's now called binary object notation, right? So this is what we're going to do in this series, and just a lot for this JavaScript series. Now, since we've known what JavaScript is, we've gone through the history of JavaScript, how it has evolved, and all the versions of ECMAScript. And then what's next do we need to do? We need to understand, like, now that I want to learn JavaScript, how do I run it? How do I know I'm running JavaScript? First things first, and now I will share my screen and to make this practical really fast. Now, let me share my screen. Okay. So as I share my screen, I've just noticed I have one of my seniors in the meeting here. I will give him some minutes to talk to you guys. So yeah, Humphrey, feel welcome to this meeting. So I'm sharing my screen so that we can start. Hello. Okay, let me share my screen. Hello, Humphrey. Humphrey, say hi.
Hi everyone. I'm happy to be here and with you, and thank you for the session. Loving, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Humphrey, for gracing this event. Yeah, so Humphrey is my senior, so I had to really acknowledge his presence here. So I'll share my screen, and you guys let me know once you can see my screen kindly. If you can see my screen, just react. Fantastic. Thank you. So what we were discussing is how can we run a JavaScript code. So that is what we want to do right away. Just a minute. Let's do that real quick. So there are two major ways in which you'll be able to write your JavaScript code. So one, browser. Number two, they're setting up your VS Code ready for writing JavaScript. Remember, the reason why we can write JavaScript in the browser is because initially the goal of JavaScript was to be written on the browser. So if I visit a simple site, let's say I go to a site like, let me just show you real quick how I will be able to write JavaScript on the browser. But this one is just for the demo. It's not the recommended way of writing JavaScript. So I'll show you how that can be done. While it loads, I want you to start thinking of something you call console. I don't know, for anyone who has touched JavaScript, you've ever, at one point, you will write console.log edge. Now, when I go to my browser, I can write that JavaScript code in the console. And that's what you want to do. So visit any site of your choice, any site of your choice. Once you see that site, right click, and then click on inspect. You click on inspect. So let's just be patient with me because my computer is one that is, the performance is not quite good. So we'll just bear with me. So right click, then click on inspect, and then you'll be brought to a developer tools here. Now this is what we call the developer. You can actually debug your application. You can check your network requests and everything. Now here we have inspector. Now inspector is basically for inspecting the elements that you have on your website. For example, if I click on this right now, if I bring it here, you see it highlights what I'm doing. Where am I? You see, where am I? So that's for the inspector. But now when we come to console, which is our area of focus, what do we want to do? Let me just clear out everything. Now here, I can write anything because this is JavaScript code that is here. Let's say I can write 1 plus 1. What do we get? It's a 2, right? If I do 2 times 2, I get a 4. If I say A equals to 12, then I also say B equals to 18. Then A plus B. What do we get? We get a 30. So what is this? It simply means I'm writing JavaScript on my browser, okay? I can also do console. Now you see what we have here. We have console. I can do another methods. The good thing about the browser, it will show you the methods as a pick. We can assert, we can do the count, we can do logs. So in this case, I just want us to use the log method of the console class. Console.log, then B. What do we get? 18, right? Because we assigned B to 18, 18 to B, right? So when we log that to the console, we get 18. Now, this is the first method of writing JavaScript on the browser. That is step number 1. Also, before I move away from here and go back to the second method of writing JavaScript on the browser, I want to let you know that during your process of writing or building websites, most of the time you'll spend your time in this section here, the console, especially for your front-end errors or debugging, okay? Because you have the inspector and the console. Now, in the console, here's where you will check. Suppose one of your components is not showing up on the screen or on the browser. Where do I go to trace the error? I come to the console, okay? If you want to debug something, come to the console. If you want to like inspect the elements in your page, like I did, you have the selector here. When I hover anywhere, once I select, if I hover anywhere, a good example, let me hover on sell now, right? You see down here, we have that component sell now. You can see it here. You can see it there, sell now. Here's what we have. Now through this, you'll be able to like inspect all the errors, trace all the errors, and help you in debugging. That is for step 1 on how to write JavaScript. Second step is to write JavaScript on your IDE, like I have here. So I have my IDE here, IDE like a VS Code. You can be using Sublime, Atom, or IntelliJ IDEs. It doesn't matter. The first thing you want to do, you want to ensure that you have Node.js installed in your machine. How do you do that? Let me show you how to install Node.js. You will come to your browser and then just Google Node.js. So then on the first search result, Node.js run JavaScript everywhere. When we say everywhere, we mean front end and back end. So let me share this with you on the charts so that you'll be able to download it later. So let me just go to the charts real quick and help share this. So what we are doing here, we are installing Node.js. This is what is going to enable us to write JavaScript in our IDEs, because you won't build your application on the browser. You will build your application on your IDE. So come here, then what you want to ensure that you're downloading the long-term support version, okay? The long-term support version, which means even if there is a change that is made to the Node.js in the coming year, your version will still have support, even without you upgrading to the latest version. So ensure that you have the latest long LTS, which is the long-term support version. So just click on download that. Click on that button, then it will download mine. Of course, it detects that we are in a Linux environment. If you're on Windows, it will download for you the Windows version. So once that is done, I will cancel because I have ready. You want to confirm that you have Node installed in your PC. How do you do that? Go to a terminal. Let me clear up everything here, and I'll show you how to confirm that we have Node installed. Let me go back to my home directory. So, oh, sorry, cd home. Yeah. So once I'm in my home directory, I can confirm, do I have node? Node space -v or flag v to give you the version of node that I'm running. I'm running version 8. But you see, my node version is 18.13.0, but the LTS is 23.1, no, 22.11.0. So you can have different versions of node installed in your machine. In your machine, you can have 18, 13, any version. It's all the way from 10. You can have 10 all the way to where we are today, using something that we call node version manager. So if I want to see all the versions of node that I have, I can do node. I think it's node list. Let's check nvm. So let's check the command to see all the versions that I have. We'll find it somewhere here. Let's just check really quick. Since I forgot it, let's check nvm list. Just a minute, I confirm the correct command. I'll show you how that is done, so that, because what is the essence of this? Right now, you will install node version, let's say node version 20, right? Then tomorrow, someone invites you to a, hello? Someone is hello? Please unmute, please mute, please mute. Please mute, please. Let me help mute. Let me help him. Okay. So we have it as, let me clear up the terminal. nvm ls. Fantastic. So let us check. Now you see, I have what we call node version manager. Node version manager helps you to manage different versions of a node that you have in your system, okay? Now, you see, in my case, what did we have when I checked the version of node I have? I had node 18, right? But you can see I also have node version 22.2, right? Now, what is the reason why I'm explaining all this to you? Because right now you have node installed, let's say version 22.20. Tomorrow, someone invites you to a project. This project was built on Node.js, let's say 18 or 15 or any other version apart from the one you have. How do you go about this? Because it won't work. You'll have a lot of errors until you upgrade or downgrade to another version. So having Node version manager will help you switch between what you have and what is needed as long as you install it. So you need to check on that, how to use Node version manager to manage different versions of Node. So now we have Node installed. Having Node installed, the next thing we want to do is now show you how this is going to be done in our IDE. So since we are writing JavaScript code, our file names will end in a.js. So I'll come here and just create a new file with an extension of .js, telling the IDE that what you are doing here, we are writing a JavaScript code. So just click on this, and then let's call it main.js. All right. So already my IDE knows what I'm about to write is a Node or JavaScript code. So how do we do this? Let's write a good an example code. I want to console my name. Let's say const name equals to Omolo Oganda, right? Then I want to log this to the console. I will use the console.log. And what am I logging? I'm logging my name. Oh, sorry, name is preserved. You can't use name. Let's call it instructor. Instructor, okay. Then what are we doing? instructor, sorry, it's hanging a little bit, but you hang in there with me, instructor. This is what we want. Fantastic. So this is the simplest code I have. Or what we will do, we also have what we expect all of us. Every time I'm writing a new language, I should write a hello world program. So const greeting hello world. Then I want to log the greeting. Fantastic. Now I have the simplest form of JavaScript code that I want to run from my IDE. How do I do this? Remember, JavaScript is basically Node, right? And take note of our file name. You just want to ensure that you are in the correct directory where your file is. In this case, we are in JavaScript folder. Inside this folder, we have main.js and index.html, which we can actually prove that by using ls here to tell us what do we have inside. We have main.js and index.html. So I want to run main.js. How do I do that? What you do, you type node, right? After that, tell us the name of the file, which is main.js. Then press enter. What do we have? We have Omolo Oganda, which is our line number 2. What it does, it simply prints the value of instructor. Then we have hello world. What does it do? It prints the value of greeting, which is greeting. So that is how you write a node in your IDE. Before we move on, one important thing I want to let you know, but since we will keep writing code here, I don't want to come down here and keep doing what? Keep typing node every time I make a change. So let's take a good example. You see, if I come here and say const A equals to 12, then const B equals to 24, then I say console log A plus B. You see, I still have to come down here and maybe clear my terminal and run it again. So we have Omolo Oganda, hello world, 36. But since you are a busy person, I am busy. We don't have much time. There's a shortcut of doing that. We want to observe the changes in our code and automatically run it as we make the changes. So what we'll do, clear the terminal. We are going to add an argument which will tell it to watch for the changes. And this version was introduced in Node version 2021 or 22. I'm not sure, either between 20, 21, or 22. So what I'll have to do is write node, then flag, watch. What I'm telling is, hey node, please watch for the changes in my code and run it again. But which file should I watch? I need to watch main.js. Press enter. Fantastic. What do we see? We now have something here telling you this is still an experiment. Like the watch mode is in experiment, which means it hasn't been stable, but it works. I can prove to you without contradiction or without fear of contradiction that it works. So we have hello, Omolo Oganda, hello world, and 36. Now let's confirm that it works by making a change here. I want to change this to 15. You see, I don't have to like keep on running around here. I change this to 96. If I come down here and say console.log, then I say my name, let me just show you. My name is, then instructor, and I am, let's say, I am A years old, right? You see, it does the work for me down here. I don't have to like waste my time coming here to stop the server and rerun it again. Remember, just a second is a very huge amount of time when it comes to programming. So that is how you set up your machine to run for you JavaScript code or Node code. JavaScript is basically Node. So what you need to do, ensure you have Node installed. Once you have Node installed, you now create your file, call it main.js, then write all the JavaScript file code you have inside here. To run it, just use the command I told you, which is, first thing you do, you have to tell us we are writing Node, then I want us to watch, then watch which file, main.js. That is done. That is how you run JavaScript on the browser and on what we call an IDE. Lastly, let's see how do we run JavaScript on the index inside our HTML, because the goal is we are going to ensure that JavaScript makes our websites interactive, which means inside your HTML, you need to have JavaScript inside there, right? Now, this thing we have to link it, our file, that is JS with the index.html file. Now, before I move further there, I just want to know, up to there, do we have any question? Any question up to that point? Any question in terms of node versioning, in terms of, okay, any question up to there? Yes, Leslie, please.
Okay, my question is, we've had a number of, like, you see, you've saved the file as main.js, the HTML file as index.html. Yes, I do understand that the last bit is supposed to like match the language you're using, but the first bit, like the index and the main, is it is it a must? It's just a routine that people are used to, the same way we use Hello World as, yeah.
Okay, a fantastic question. Okay, so I have to make this clear. That's a very good question to the right person. So when we're talking about naming, for JavaScript, it will make sense when you're already into frameworks where you're writing React and Vue, or even, which one do we have again? We have Remix and I don't know, Deno, yeah. So what happens here is, let me first start with JavaScript. For JavaScript, when you check your folder structure and file structure of your frameworks, let's say React, because most of us here, I'm sure we are into React. You see, we have a point where we have the main file. Let me give you an example. Just a minute, guys. I want to show you a practical example, not theory. Let me load my GitHub code space just to show you what to expect with the naming. Just a minute. Then I'll answer also the HTML, why we have to call it index and why we don't have to call it index. So let me do that. Let me go to my GitHub to give you an example of what to expect in terms of naming. Yeah, bear with me, I'm opening my GitHub. Yeah, maybe, by the way, if one of you here has a MacBook, you can gift me so that next time we don't have to hang around waiting for it to load. I'll really appreciate that MacBook. So just a minute, it's loading. The guidelines that you should have when naming these files. You can't just wake up and name it leslie.html or omolo.js. We have guidelines of doing that, and that is what I want us to do. Okay. Just a minute. Not responding. Wait. Okay. Hang on there, guys. This is interesting. What I'm about to show you is very important. So hang on there. Okay. So okay, it's coming, guys. Fantastic. I got it. I got it. Just a minute. Okay. Seemingly my brave browser has refused to show up, but I think I know how to explain things even orally without showing you the actual code. Like it's not responding. So sorry for that, guys. But once it responds, I'll show you. So let's take here. Now, when you work on a project, let's say a project that is a website that only uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Remember, we didn't have frameworks back in the days, right? Now, when you deploy this website, remember the kind of servers that are being used. Some of you have used cPanel, some of you have used any server. Think about it. The first point of entry that the server checks for is your index.html file, okay? So your main HTML file must be indexed. This will represent the landing page or the home page. And also, it is the entry point that the server has to first find. It checks, do I have index.html? If it finds it, it's like, okay, this is nice. That is one in terms of the deployment architecture. Number two, if you're working on a front-end framework, let's say, let me use Leslie, Cape Courier. Right now you're working on React. Once you work on React, remember you're working locally. Before you take it to production or deployment, you'll have to build it. To build it, you have to build it to something that is minified and lightweight, okay? Now, in your code base, you'll be having like components, views, router, your entry file, which is main.js and everything. Now, remember, when you now build it, it will be condensed or minified into a folder called dist or public. If you check clearly that public folder, you will find one file that is index.html, okay? And other files called assets. Assets are your images, your icons, your videos. And then you'll also find JS files, okay? Now, it has to be index.html because that is what the server is going to look for. That is the entry. That is where all the built files living under. When they come to now JavaScript, if you check your code structure for either React or Next, I've not been into Next much, but let's talk of React. If you check your React code base, you will find that the entry file is named main.jsx or index.jsx. That is the main JavaScript file in your application. Unless you change it, which is not recommended, don't change it because we have the builds, which are already referred to as main. So you have to take note that your entry file in the front end is index.html. And for your frameworks, it has to be main.jx, which is what is used to like bring all your components, all your routes into one component, right? And then it takes that and mounts it to what? Remember, we mount to a component in the index.html called root. You've seen something like create root element, render, right? Now, that is why you have to take note of how you name your files. Name other files anything you want, but for the main files, either main or index, for the JS or upload.js, and for the HTMLs, the main file has to be index.html. So you can have others like contact.html, about us.html, and the likes. So does that answer your question, Leslie? Yeah, also Driller, as mentioned, it's called app.js in Express. Yeah, something good about Express, you can name it anything you like, but it's important what you point to it. For example, if in your script, you have to tell it, my entry file is app.js. So Leslie, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you. It's very well answered. Yeah.
Fantastic. So We have another question. Hello, Mr. Omolo. The class is wonderful. I'm learning. Will you kindly share your email contact after class? Okay, sure. I'll share everything. So let's move forward and see how we'll link our JavaScript code to our front end, which is like index.html. Don't worry. All this will build them step by step to fake frameworks, and you'll see how we can use frameworks to easily build and make our code maintainable, reusable, and efficient. So coming back here, now what I have here is what we call the blank HTML, let's call it that. So maybe you can just do a H1 here, and then let's call it JavaScript study jam. That is very simple. And then now we have main.js. I can now clear up everything here. Actually, I don't have to clear it. So what I'll do, I'll come back to HTML. Now this is my main.js. Now, and now it's my HTML. Now all the code for the functionality or interactivity that I want my web to have, for now, will live in the main.js file right here. And then in the index, now I point my index.html to the JS file that it should use to handle interactivity. So we have two methods. One, you can have the script file in your header. That's up here. Or you can have it just before the end of the body. But it's a catch when you add it on top in the head tags. So let's do that. This should be very easy. Let's get it from our members here. Can someone tell me how to add a script, to link a script to my HTML? Remember, we have amazing things to win in this session. Anyone who can tell me how to link a script, JavaScript file to HTML? Precious, not you. Rodney, yes, Rodney, please. So Rodney, prepare. So tell me, I'm here. Unmute and talk.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Rod.
Hello, Rodney.
Let me explain how to link the JavaScript files to the HTML.
Okay.
I'm just going to link the file. First, you can use the script tag, which comes at the end of the HTML document near the.
Okay. Now what we do, tell us. Like we are in HTML. So which line should I have a line there?
Okay. Yeah, just there.
Okay.
Right there is the script.
I open like that.
A minute.
Okay. Then.
I get back to my screen. Just minimize that.
Like this.
Just a minute. Okay, that's a script tag. That script tag allows us to write the JavaScript direct the JavaScript language directly in the HTML.
Great.
Yeah. Then you can also use a link JavaScript tag also.
Okay.
Of the script tag.
Okay.
Then there is also a link that comes below the title tag up for number 97. You can use a script tag, but you use the defer keyword so that it can load after everything HTML has loaded.
Okay, that was now the thing. Let me note your name down. That is, we have many people wanted to answer this. Let me check. I want to note we have Driller. Okay, fine. I'm going to, everybody will have a chance. So we have Rodney. Rodney, you have to chat to me after this meeting so that we'll discuss. So fantastic. So other question is coming. So just relax, guys, chill. So what happens, just as Rodney has mentioned, we have, in fact, I was even forgetting this one here. You can have the script file here and point it to main.js. Just a minute, guys. Great. My GitHub is still hanging. It can't show you guys. So fine. We can have the script file on top inside the header tags. Remember the header, the head tag in HTML is where you define your meta tags, your title, your links to style sheet styling, and every other thing that is called metadata for your document, for your web page. And inside there too, we can still have the script. So here, what we'll do in the script, you will point it. For example, we'll have src. Then src is like, what's the source of that file? In this case, remember, index.html and main.js are all in the same folder, which means we can do something like a period and that. And then we can just have main.js. Okay. But there's something with this, something wrong with this. Something wrong with this is that if you have it like this and leave it this way, it will just execute it before we have our HTML rendered, okay? But we always want to execute JavaScript after our HTML has been rendered. And then JavaScript can take control now, okay? So what do? We defer. Defer is like telling it, I'm taking a break, I will come back later, okay? So I'm taking a break, I will come back later after everything in between body has rendered, okay? That is one way of doing that. Second way is having this here, JavaScript file tags here, and then having all your JS code right there, okay? That is another way, which I don't like. It's another way, but I don't like it. It will clutter your code. I mean, we just want to be organized. We have index file separate to our HTML and just have their links. So another way is still to have the script, then just point it to where our file is, which is like that. But now when we do it after before the ending tag of the body, ensure that you don't defer because it's coming last. Remember, code is always executed top to bottom, okay? From the top to the bottom. So if it finds this as the last thing, it will execute it the last. But if you choose to put it in the head tag, which is always my way of doing it when I was still doing the vanilla JS, you have to tell it, please define it until everything here is rendered. But you can't use both. Just ensure you have one, okay? So that is how you handle JavaScript. So once you have it this way, remember everything that you have inside here, you can now execute it here. But remember, in HTML and JavaScript, everything JavaScript is only executed when an event occurs, okay? An event, we mean things like click a button, hover, scroll, yeah, an event. What event occurred? I hovered a mouse on H1. What event occurred? I scrolled. Now, on event, that is when the code is executed. So we'll be able to see how we can write interactive JavaScript codes here and see them execute in our HTML. Okay. Now that's all about writing JavaScript, how to write JavaScript. So let's try and wind up really quick because I'm already taking much of your time. Okay, a question is coming later, guys. So just chill, I'll have the questions with you. Now let's finish up on what we were actually doing. So let me go back and share the PowerPoint so that we can watch. This was just like an intro to give you a gist of what we are going to, expect in this series. So let me just share back my PowerPoint once again. Let me try it once again so that we can finalize. Let me share. Okay, fantastic. So we were at a point where we were now looking at how to run JavaScript code. Yes, I'm loading so that I can navigate. Okay. We are almost there. We are almost there. Yes, so that's what we have. How to run JavaScript. So we have the browser console. That is what we did. Open a browser, go to developer tools or inspect, and then go to the console. There you will find a JavaScript code, HTML file. What we have done, you see the script tag. Write your JS separate, and then point your HTML to it. Then we have Node.js that you can use in your IDE. Now, moving forward, we're going to start working with variables. And in variables, we have what we call the keywords for declaring a variable, such as var, let, const. We're going to look all what this means and when is it convenient to use each one of them. We're going to also look how to declare a variable, of which we've already done a simple one, like we've just declared a variable here by saying const instructor greeting. These are variables like A, B, those are all variables. So we'll be able to look all that. And then we are going to look at what we call hoisting. Hoisting is basically a variable and a function declarations are moved to the top of their scope during compilation. So I'll tell you what that is. So it's like you can have, let me show you that a sneak peek of how it happens. Let's say we have a function here. And then we have like a call to that function here. So what happens, we can call that function from here, but what it will be hoisted. Ni kama unaichukua, we assume ilikuwa huku juu before. We assume it was on top for it to be executed. But we look into details that as the meeting progresses. Then we'll look at the conventions of naming variables. Remember, we have conventions. One, we have, I don't know if this could be a good question, but we have camel case, we have kebab case, we have snake case, we have what? Yeah, the number of cases that are being used and conventions also being used when naming variables. Then we have variable scopes. A scope is basically the boundaries in which something belongs. For example, we have a block scope, function scope. This gives an overview of what to expect in our next meeting. Going forward, data types will now start handling that, where we have strings, we have objects, we have arrays, a number of data types that we'll be able to handle in our meetings. Then we'll look at examples of such data types and how to use them. So for the next meetup that we'll be having, which is on Saturday next week, we are going to go through all the basics. For example, variable declaration, naming conventions, what I've mentioned here. And then if we have time, we'll look on the functions and classes next weekend. Then after which, we'll jump into the DOM. DOM, I mean how you start manipulating your HTML using JavaScript. And that's where now the actual interesting bit of this session will come in, when we now hit what we call document object model. From there, after understanding document object model, we do a simple project, then we move a simple project using HTML, CSS, and JS. Then after that is done, we move to now converting our HTML, CSS, and JS to a web application that is built on a framework. Okay, so that's it for today. Just a setup of JavaScript, how to run it, what to expect, what we'll be using in the front end and the back end, and everything that it pertains. So you should expect that in our next meeting, we're going to handle the actual coding, the variable declaration, hoisting, naming conventions, classes, functions. Once that is done, we move to DOM, where the actual programming begins. So that's it from me, guys. Unless someone has a question, I mean, you can ask it if you have a question. Or if you have a suggestion, you can now ask it. Yeah, feel free. Just unmute and ask. Anyone, any question? Any question from anyone? Okay, since
Hello.
there's no question, hello.
Oh, I'm Trufena. I was asking if you can share the recording.
Yeah, the recording will be shared just a few minutes after the meeting ends.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Precious ask the question. Precious.
Okay, yes. Okay, my question might be a little bit not very serious, but we've had people saying JavaScript is very weird. Like weird in terms of what? Now that you've been doing JavaScript for quite some time now. So,
Okay.
yes.
So JavaScript is weird because it depends on the domain. You'll find sometimes that when you, okay, let me give you a simple example, okay? If you take 1 plus 1 with a string, you'll get 11. You can take 1, which is like, or you can take 11 and then find the type of, you'll find it's a number. The next time you do a type of 1 in quotes plus 1, then find the type of 8, they tell you it's a string. So all this is, for me, it's what makes JavaScript interesting for me, because you need to understand why am I doing this and where should I use that, okay? So it's kind of weird. The more we're going to build here, you'll see why people say JavaScript is just confusing and weird. And we'll always be having code snippets to help us understand why do people say it's weird. And after doing that, from there on, you will have, someone has Mimi here. Someone has a good example. 5, check it out in the charts. You will see what happens. So basically, it's weird. That's true. I'm not gonna lie, it's weird. And we are also weird, so we can tackle it. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so there being another question, there's a program that is ongoing that I want maybe my senior to remind you, that is the Game of Learners Clinics. So maybe Humphrey, maybe you can talk about Game of Learners Clinics and tell them why it's important for us to attend it. So please.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chris, for that session. The session was amazing. Yeah, I loved it from the start. So, for the game of learning, it runs throughout the year. So, but it is in 2 sections. There is the game of learners clinics, and now there is the game of learners hackathon. Maybe if you've seen on social media, been running the game of learners clinics, you can focusing on data structures and algorithms. That's why you've been having software engineers together to tackle some data structures problem, and then we need to implement the solutions. So I guess the sessions have been going for the past 4 weeks, and I guess we are looking forward to continue the same. And not only data structures, we'll be having more clinics focusing on other technologies, maybe AI, Azure, data, and so on. And now, when it comes to hackathon we're running maybe from January. So that's when the application will be open. Then once the application is open, we open it up for registration. We do the selection. We announce the theme of the hackathon. Then once the theme is announced and the theme is selected, then that's how we enter now the hacking phase, which we run for 5 weeks of hacking. Whereby you apply with a team maybe from university or a different university from Kenya or for us and Kenya, East Africa, South Africa, depending on those that applied to take part in it. Then once the hackathon runs for the 5 weeks, okay, it runs in different phases because it's the training. Somebody you are training with different technologies that maybe you may want to use in your project. Let's say if you want to use Azure DevOps or Azure and you don't know what to do with, so we have a session for that. We will show you how to navigate around that. If you want to use maybe like a Microsoft platform and you don't know how to use that, maybe Microsoft Fabric, in case you want to, you're doing something to deal with data, and maybe something to do with Azure AI Studio lab sessions for that and show you how to navigate around that. And during the hackathon, we are paired with each two mentors or two coaches who are maybe either software engineers or maybe product managers or maybe senior principal managers at Microsoft to help you and guide you to streamline your solution. Targeting maybe the demand maybe to help you maybe from your design phase to station phase and now to the production phase. To try and keep your ideas eligible to the demand and focusing on solving a certain problem that is viable. I mean, not just solving problem just for the sake of the problem, just to make it align with the demand, the goal of the problem statement, and maybe the solution that you want to imply. Again, with this in mind, we'll be having partners now depending with the theme of the hackathon. If it's something in climate, we maybe have partners who deal in climate and for that. If it's something in health, we'll have partners in health. If something in education, the same thing. So you see that so now, and each maybe partner will offer maybe people to help you align your solution to the goal of the problem statement and maybe the solution that you may want that aligns with the market. Yeah. So that's I guess a brief overview of the hackathon, and yeah, hoping to see you join once the registration is open. We'll be sharing social media. You can follow us. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you can see once anything is posted. You can find me. I'm from in all social media, X and LinkedIn. Our next you can follow Microsoft CTC. I guess we post anything that's upcoming there. Yeah, and yeah, I'm looking forward to engaging with you in future events. And yeah, happy learning, happy spring, and keep upskilling with Microsoft. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Humphrey. That was very detailed, and I hope all of us have got that information about all those opportunities that Microsoft has for us, upskilling, challenges, your GSS skills, the hackathon that is upcoming, and every other thing. So that was detailed, very detailed. So I am really encouraging all of us, let's take advantage of all these opportunities to upskill, because these are opportunities that comes once in a while. Maybe after the hackathon, it will be again until November next year. So I would love to see all of us participating in such events, and let's actually these links can be shared in the group. Yeah, I will ask Humphrey to share with them in the group so that we can all get access to them. So there being no other question, guys, I think we've really done our best for the day, and I hope to see us all in the next meetup that is on Saturday next week, same time, same place, and I hope to see the same faces again and even new faces. So the recording will be available just a few minutes after I end this meeting, and I'll post it on the group, also on the chat here. You can access it later, and then we upskill. Also, in the group, share your social media handles. Let's connect, everyone. Connect, share what you do, and we are going to help each other in networking. So thank you, guys. This was interesting and amazing. This was the best audience I've ever had. So thank you all. I hope to see you next time. Be blessed and have a good night. So you can leave at your own pleasure. Yeah. Oh, my contacts. Rodney, are you in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I am in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. Can you DM me in the WhatsApp group?
Just a minute.
Okay, no problem. Let me just share my contact. There you go. That's my WhatsApp. Contact me on WhatsApp. Great. So bye, guys. See you next weekend. Enjoy your night.